Hey people, part two on the sigils are actually Asian writing and Asian religion. And we're starting to see that all the Asian writings seem to have some common megalithic ancestor, which is really fascinating if you're interested in the worldwide. A sigil is a symbol with a... Okay, look, just forget about it. Just forget what that says. Because this is modern... Someone a few hundred years ago or a few thousand years ago came along and said, ooh, they were given a black magic book from Asia, and the Asians, they do have the black magic as well. And especially countries like Cambodia, where they do have these sigil-like writing. And they thought, let's continue, let's do more. So they came up with all these sigils, and they said all these sigils must be black magic. But it's just writing. It's really just writing. You can see this is the old Khmer, and the Thai came out of this, and you see that it's. Do you see these huge things? Loops of string. They're supposed to be based on loops of string hanging around, different knots and so forth. And you also see this thing on top that the Thai writing also has. It's always got. They always put these ornaments on the top of many different letters, and the reason is, I'll tell you why. That's the rest of the piece of string, an abbreviation of the rest of the piece of string. So these were all string languages in the past, or all the same string language, which the megalithic builders used. And we see the origin, we see the result. We see the Kipu in the New World. We see the surviving string languages in the East. We see the Irish Ogham, showing that the Irish are in fact the Aryans of Asia. We see it in all these places. And you look at, I look at Thai people, and I see they are mixed with European. You can see that. You see that also with the Chinese, the Japanese, especially the Mongols. This was a Eurasian system. This is really interesting. And of course, the sigils are quite. They have the loops and the intricacies, and the knots are either left-handed or right-handed, and they know how to demonstrate that on a two-dimensional plane. This, for example, here, you see that the long upper part of the Kipu, and then you have strings hanging off it. Fascinating. There's the rest of the string there. That's a symbol for the rest of the string. Here it's hanging down. No, not completely unique, because that too is based on string language. The reason is, I'll show you why. There are lots of these animals which happen to have lots of legs. And if the animal has lots of legs, again, we're looking at something similar to the Irish Ogham here. You can draw it as an animal if you want, but you see all different plants and so forth. And in fact, again, you can look at the runes, and the runes will show they're all different trees, which are basically, the reason they're trees is in the string language, you got one line and then knots coming off of it, so you can have a tree and branches. And if the Easter Islanders are megalithic, if they're copying Göbekli Tepe, obviously they're not going to be unique. Obviously, as an island of a few thousand people going to, or 1,000 or several hundred, going to make their own writing system. I'm not sure they will. If they did it very early on when they were more highly populated. You see, Japanese, like the Mongol, you write it downwards, even though you don't join them up. But you do write it downwards as if it was going down and joined. You see in the Japanese characters elements of the string language. It's like something you hold up, an edifice, and then you've got loops hanging down. That's left-handed, and you could do right-handed loops as well. But you see it more clearly in the earlier forms of Japanese, where you have, for example, especially here, especially these forms here, where it's just a string hanging down, and you've just got bits coming out of it. Like, I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, because that's what it was. It's just as simple as that. Isn't this incredible, guys? I want you to leave me your comments below and telling me how good this is. That's from the Codex Gigas, with that funny picture of the little Satan that we all know. And you do wonder, when you look at the Celtic knots and so forth, what's the origin? And what I'm suspecting is, if it was a kind of seal of royalty. If you had something, firstly, Celtic, we now know it means Chaldean, which means Easterner. So they said, okay, we're from the east. We're not quite sure where, but there were some Phoenician tin settlers here. So let's call ourselves Chaldeans. That's in our heritage. If you look up the old history books, you will see that there are migrations to Britain from Chaldea. That's the British Israelism we've talked about. And so the Celtic knot, it's a part of a string language from the east. It shows that you can really tie up really good knots. Oh, this guy, this is big business here. This guy can really, he knows his language so well. He can tie the most intricate knots. This is a learned person. This is someone of education, high status. Wow. This is someone who knows his stuff. And so this would have been some kind of royal seal in the past, in the West. And hence the Celtic knots, the Gordian knots, all this, it's a symbol of being very special indeed. Okay, let's wrap up with this, just to show I'm not stretching it too far. This is Linear B. In Linear B, it's slightly Japanese-ish, but honestly, it is less so. And if I just looked at that, I actually wouldn't automatically say that looks like a string language. You know, just to show that I'm not saying everything it looks like a string language. This thing, a lot less so. It's more alphabetic. It's more like the Western system of today. Lots of letter H's, you'll notice. But I wouldn't necessarily straight away say, oh, this is string language, that's string language. I wouldn't include that. Some of them, yes, but lots of them, no. And the reason is you have multiple strings going into one string, and that doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather see one string at the top going into multiple branches down the bottom. But anyway, that's just my opinion on that. Hope you've enjoyed the little short video. Sigils part 2. So to conclude, sigils look like some kind of Cambodian black magic. When I try and find stuff online, we all know Wiki's, it's Wikipedia. It literally says it's Wikipedia. So they don't want to say that, they don't want to talk about, primitive ideas among, maybe third world populations. So they want to shy away from that. So you actually can't find much at all about Asian black magic anywhere. I'm not seeing any of it. And this is why people think that maybe the Hebrews came up with this. They didn't. Clearly, they've got an old Cambodian or megalithic era book, and this has been traded to them, and they said, "Oh, this is fun. Let's see what we can do with this." And this hardly tells you nothing. Unfortunately, this article is very weak for Wikipedia. Sadly, it's not much information in here. It's like someone said this, someone said that. Oh yeah, someone said something else. Yeah. Oh, someone said that. Oh yeah. But that's not it. Anyway. Hope you've enjoyed.